Welcome to the debate. If you walk into a weight room today, well, instead of seeing people simply picking up heavy objects, you often see what looks like an applied physics exam.
Yeah, with their protractors and everything.
Exactly. Someone is taking 5 minutes to set up a cable machine, twisting their torso at this highly specific 45-degree angle. And they're attempting to perfectly align the resistance with, like, a single muscle's fiber line of pull.
Right, the exact line of pull.
Right. So today we are examining the pervasive tension in modern fitness culture. We're looking at old school, heavy compound lifting versus this modern galaxy brain biomechanics approach. I look at these elaborate cable setups and I just see a distraction from raw force and progressive overload.
Well, I would actually argue the opposite. Because when you just focus on pushing heavy weight with a basic movement, you're often not actually testing the muscle you're trying to grow. The pursuit of biomechanical optimization isn't a distraction. It's how you ensure the target muscle is actually doing the work.
But my premise is that muscle growth is really driven by total tension and volume over the long term. I mean, if you spend 5 minutes tweaking a D-handle attachment, you are losing the plot entirely. The primary goal of hypertrophy training should be pouring 100% of your effort into pure force production.
Right, force is important, but
Let me just finish this thought. Highly stable exercises, like a standard barbell squat or a leg press, they let you load heavily and track your progress week after week. Optimization often just creates this, illusion of progress while sacrificing the actual heavy loading that forces adaptation.
see, I don't think it's an illusion at all if it's based on how muscle architecture actually responds to a stimulus. The way a muscle is loaded dictates exactly how it grows. Relying solely on basic multi-joint movements is flawed because the target muscle is, it's rarely the limiting factor.
Okay, but
Just to use the example from the source material, if you are doing a heavy deadlift with the intention of growing your quads, it is highly likely that your back or your grip will give out before your quads are even close to fully fatigued. You're leaving the target muscle understimulated.
I see why you think that. But let me give you a different perspective on that deadlift example. I mean, first of all, who is seriously using a standard deadlift just for quad isolation?
Fair point, but
If stability is the issue and your grip is giving out, you don't need a convoluted cable setup to fix that. What if you just use a highly stable machine like the leg press? By placing yourself in a fixed track, you've completely eliminated the balance and grip problems, allowing for maximum overload on the quads.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you why. Even on the leg press, you're treating the quad like it's just a single piece of meat, and it's not.
It works the whole leg, yeah.
Right. And the leg press removes the lower back from the equation, sure, which is a structural improvement. But your quadriceps consist of multiple heads, and a standard fixed foot plate doesn't guarantee the load is distributed optimally across all of them. If the line of resistance doesn't oppose the specific fiber orientation you're actually targeting, you are leaving growth on the table.
But that pursuit of, perfect alignment creates a massive blind spot. Like, how do you actually measure your progress? Think of muscle adaptation like building a callus. You need to rub the exact same spot repeatedly with increasing friction, adding weight, adding reps.
Progressive overload, yeah.
Exactly. If you change the angle every single week because you saw a new variation online, you're just rubbing a bunch of different spots lightly. You will never build the callus. You just create static in your training program. Mastering a core set of movements is really all that is practically needed.
The data only gets messy if your programming is chaotic. Variety itself isn't static. It is high-fidelity tuning, and the source material explicitly supports this for well-rounded development. You mentioned mastering horizontal pushes like the bench press earlier.
Yeah, it's a staple movement. Great for the overall chest and triceps.
Exactly. But let's look at the actual mechanism there. The triceps have 3 heads, and the long head actually crosses the shoulder joint. Because your arms are pinned in front of you during a bench press, that long head never gets a full stretch. It physically cannot be fully stimulated in that position.
Okay, but it's still getting worked.
Worked, yes, but not optimized. A movement like a skull crusher, however, puts the arms overhead, stretching that specific fiber and forcing it to do the heavy lifting. If you only bench press to avoid noise in your logbook, you are systematically neglecting a third of your arm.
I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning because we are elevating theoretical biomechanics over practical evidence. If you're listening to this and you spent 3 months swapping between 6 different cable fly variations, look at your logbook. Have you actually gotten stronger at any of them?
Well, strength isn't always.
Most of these ultra-specific Instagram variations take a tiny fragment of biomechanical theory and they just extrapolate it wildly. There are no long-term studies proving that a twisting 45-degree cable press builds more actual muscle mass over 6 months than getting undeniably strong at a standard row. We are letting microscopic theory override macroscopic results.
That's a compelling argument, but have you considered that we don't always need a double-blind study to tell us a muscle is receiving high-quality tension? We might lack decades-long longitudinal studies on every niche cable setup, true, but we have individual physiological response.
Biofeedback is tricky, though.
It is, but if a lifter sets up at a specific angle and immediately gets a localized pump, vividly feeling that target muscle working in a way they couldn't on a standard barbell row, that biofeedback totally justifies the search for optimal angles.
Which is actually a fascinating area where the material shows we agree. Biofeedback is the ultimate test. If an exercise gives you a great pump and you genuinely feel the target muscle working, that is a fantastic sign of effectiveness. You should stick with it and progress.
Exactly. The mind-muscle connection isn't just theory. It's a perfectly valid metric for whether an exercise is actually working for your specific biomechanics.
But I still maintain that avoiding the illusion of optimization is key. Getting undeniably strong at a stable, core set of proven movements remains the true foundation of consistent muscle growth. The heavy loading is what ultimately forces the adaptation.
And I maintain that simply pushing heavy loads blindly isn't enough. Acknowledging the muscular bottlenecks in those compound lifts and utilizing optimized targeted isolation is how you ensure complete development. The basics are the foundation, yes, but optimization is how you finish the structure.
Ultimately, that is a choice every listener will have to make when they walk onto the gym floor. Do you invest your energy in the simplicity of heavy loading, or do you prioritize the precise targeting of optimized variations?
Right. The real question is, are you driving true progression, or are you just performing an ongoing science experiment?
Exactly. If listeners found this nuanced take helpful and are tired of falling for every Galaxy Brain fitness trend on their feed, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We have plenty more deep dives into the literature and the practical reality of the gym coming your way. Train hard, stay stable, and keep it nuanced.